Welcome to the Nighttime Seatbelt Enforcement webinar for the Region 3 states. We hope by the time we're done, you'll better understand why we need more seatbelt enforcement at night in this part of the country, and that you'll feel even more confident in your ability to conduct that enforcement effectively. I'm Jack Oates. I work for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in Washington, D.C. I'd like to take a minute or so to explain why it is so important that more seatbelt enforcement take place at night in this region of the country where you work. We can start with some good news. Over the first decade of the 21st century, Region 3 of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, that's the states of Delaware, Kentucky, Maryland, North Carolina, Virginia, and West Virginia, plus the District of Columbia, have had enormous success in reducing the death toll of unrestrained occupants of passenger motor vehicles. We've cut that death toll by more than 1/5. During the 3 years of 2007 to 2009, the 3 most recent years for which we have data, there were over 1,200 fewer people who died unbuckled in crashes in this part of the country than had during 2000 through 2002. There's only one explanation for this: well-publicized and highly intense enforcement of seatbelt laws. You should be very proud of what you've accomplished. But there's cause for concern, too. We've not made as much progress in preventing unrestrained fatalities in the hours of darkness as we have in the daylight. During the mornings and afternoons, I'm talking from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m., law enforcement in Region 3 has slashed the unbuckled death count by 1/4. That's the blue line that you see. But during the evenings and late nights, that's the red line, the death toll has been reduced by only about 1/6. And notice, over this entire time span, many more people have died unbuckled at night in our states than have during the daytime. So when do most unbuckled deaths occur in our states? If we divide the week into 28 time slots, I'm talking daylight mornings, afternoons, evenings, and late nights for each of the 7 days, that's 28 time slots, we find that the highest numbers of unrestrained occupant deaths occur in just 6 of those time slots. They are the late night hours of Saturday turning into Sunday, the late night hours of Friday turning into Saturday, Saturday evening, Friday evening, Thursday evening, and Sunday evening. Those 6 time slots account for only about 1/5 of the hours of the week. But during 2007 through 2009, more than 1/3 of the people who died as unrestrained occupants in Region 3 were killed in crashes that happened then. Do we need more late-night seatbelt enforcement in Region 3? We sure do, at least late at night on Saturday and Sunday. Over half of the late-night unbuckled deaths in this region occur on Saturday or Sunday. And do we need more evening seatbelt enforcement here? Absolutely, especially on Thursday through Sunday. Those 4 evenings produce 2/3 of the region's unrestrained evening fatalities. Now let's hear from someone who actually does the job that we're asking you to do.
Thank you, Jack. So that's the why of night belt enforcement for Region 3. Now let's talk a little bit about the how. I'm Sergeant Pete Muscala with the Howard County, Maryland Police Department's Traffic Enforcement Section. One thing that you'll find out about nighttime seatbelt enforcement is that there is not one single night belt strategy that works best for everyone, whether you're a large or small, rural or urban agency. But the fact is, there is at least one nighttime belt enforcement strategy that you can make work for you. We've been having some very good luck with night belt enforcement for the last year or so. And what I'd like to do is just take a few minutes to share with you and give you my perspective on some of the strategies that have been serving us well. Not all traffic law enforcement has to be done from moving patrol vehicles. One such way to accomplish it is stationary operations, especially in well-traveled, well-lit locations. You can produce lots of visibility, lots of contacts, and quite a few tickets, quite honestly, and that produces lots of deterrence and helps us save more lives. Let's take a look at some of the issues with stationary locations. They give us high volumes of traffic. High volumes of traffic, particularly at signalized intersections, which we utilize in Howard County, cause vehicles to move slowly. The vehicles are also stopped, and there's good ambient lighting provided in most cases. This is important from an officer safety standpoint. The vehicles are slowed or stopped in most cases. The officer merely needs to step out into the lane of traffic and direct the vehicle off the roadway when it is not moving. Secondly, you can utilize spotter or observational officers to see in advance if the occupants are belted. These officers can then radio ahead to contact officers to provide vehicle and occupant details, and then the vehicles can subsequently be stopped. In Howard County, we have found that this does not always work well. There are a number of fiscal considerations and manpower requirements that many agencies may not have to accomplish this goal. But you can modify this based on your agency's unique situations. The point to remember is it can be done, and that's important to keep in mind. Nighttime seatbelt checkpoints. Checkpoints can produce even more contacts, as those of us who have done these before know, or even DUI checkpoints. We want to make sure that everybody knows why you're out there, though, as this will give us the best deterrence. When you use a nighttime seatbelt checkpoint, first of all, make sure you use similar equipment as you would do in the daytime. But some other considerations you might think about also are making sure that the officers use reflective vests, that you have sufficient portable lights, cones, and message signs to warn oncoming motorists that you are there. These can also be low staffing checkpoints. Many agencies have difficulties because of money issues, but that is really not an excuse not to staff a checkpoint. They can be done efficiently and effectively even with low staffing. Make sure you check with your prosecutor's office to make sure this is a viable option in your location. In Howard County, we do not exercise this option simply because of some potential legal issues, but it may work in your jurisdiction. One of the other benefits of nighttime seatbelt checkpoints is they can be multi-focused, which basically means that you can identify other violations. So you're basically killing two birds with one stone. You're identifying seatbelt violations, and you may also identify other criminal violations such as DUI. And they also provide for general motorist safety. Moving patrols can work for night belt enforcement also. And we're referring to saturation patrols. Saturation patrols can be effective if they're focused in high visibility areas that have been either previously identified by the community or perhaps by the beat officers who are very familiar with that particular area. Spotter officers can be used to watch for violators in lighted areas and summon other police officers to make the stop if necessary. The other benefit of saturation patrols is that they can be very mobile. They can be used to also address crime problems in various neighborhoods. Many jurisdictions unfortunately, do not place a lot of enforcement and initiative in seatbelt enforcement because they are inundated by other crime-related problems. The good news is that you can utilize seatbelt enforcement as a means to address other crime problems. We've had a lot of success in Howard County with this very thing. We can go into a high problem or high crime area, stop vehicles because the seatbelt is the primary violation, and you would be surprised what you can get into. So keep in mind when you're doing these enforcement efforts that it's all about saving lives, not about issuing tickets per se. Implement a zero tolerance policy in your agency for seatbelt and child safety seat violations. This will go a long way towards saving these lives. Thank you.